chime. You never know just what you mean to me. All that chime.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Kent Smoes, professor here at the Wharton School, and you're listening to Your Money here on Business Radio, Sirius XM 111. For the rest of this show, you know the routine by now. I have a couple of financial planners with me. We're taking your calls about your own financial situation. So if you want to know how to invest your money, save for retirement, kids' college, buying life insurance, paying down debts, budgeting, really, if you got a question about your finances, I promise we'll be going back to the phone lines in just 2 minutes here. Pick up the phone, give me a call live on Tuesday. So give me a call here at 1-844-WHARTON, just like the school name, WHARTON. That's 1-844-942-7866. And welcome back to, in this case, the studio is Tom Meyer, who's the CEO of Meyer Capital Group. Like all financial advisors on the show, he's with a fee-only firm, and it's something that we'll try to talk about is some issues related to this idea of fiduciary. What does it actually mean these days? And he's been on the show multiple times. Love having him in studio. It's also been quoted many different outlets, Dow Jones Newswire, Barron's Investment News, and so forth, as well as being on CNBC's Power Lunch. Welcome back to the show, Tom.
Thanks, Kent. Always great to be here.
And I'll go back to the phone lines in just a minute here. Before doing that, Tom, just remind us a little bit about your firm, and if you have a typical client, what's he or she like?
So I think you hit the nail on the head. Fiduciary, fee only, not fee-based, fee only. We are always going to be sitting on the same side of the table as our clients are, and we have to do what's in our clients' interest first and foremost, 100% of the time. I've been doing this now for 35 years. Hard to believe. I had bleach blonde hair. Now I have absolutely.
Well, you still have your hair, so you're okay.
True. Life is good. And we have a portfolio. We asset allocators, financial planners, and what we try and do is guide our clients, from point A to point B, and get them to their financial utopia, if you will.
Yeah, fantastic. And again, speaking of Thomas Meyer, the CEO of the Meyer Capital Group, as he pointed out, that they've been in business for 35 years, always as a fee-only financial advising firm. That's actually that's pretty long time to be a fee-only advisor. It was a lot less common several decades ago. Again, live on Tuesday. So if you have a question about your finances, give me a call here at 1-844-WHARTON. That's 1-844-942-7866. And let me go. I promise to go back to the phone lines. Do that right now with Josh calling from Virginia. How can we help you, Josh?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on the
Sure.
show. I had a couple questions. Well, basically just one question about student loans in two different scenarios. Myself, personally, just got done with grad school. Not making tons of money yet, but I'm kind of progressing into that. And,
Good.
About $35,000 to $40,000 in debt, mostly government loans, a few private. And then I have my credit's not that good to where I wasn't making that much money, and I had trouble keeping up with payments and that type of thing. So, and then the other part of that question was my girlfriend.
But so what's the actual question there?
Yeah, so what's kind of like the best strategy for myself and my situation with poor credit? Do you guys recommend trying to pay off like the higher interest rate loans first, or is there like a consolidation company that you guys would recommend?
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about these loans. I mean, what's the interest rate? You said most of them are government loans. So what's the interest rate that you're paying on them?
Yeah, so I'm not looking at them right now, but, I think they're right around 6%.
Okay. And that's 6% fixed, right?
Say it again?
That must be fixed then, right? It's a fixed interest rate, and it doesn't vary with the economy?
Yeah, I believe that it is. A few of them are variable. Like I think my private loans are variable.
Yes. Okay, so you have some private ones too. Presumably those are probably a lower rate, but there's some risk that they could go up. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe they are variable, so they could go up to say 8% or so.
Yeah. Okay. So, so tell me a little bit more about if you have to make the minimum payments on these student loans, how much are we talking about per month, and then kind of how much are you making in terms of income per month?
Yeah, so I just got a new job, so this is kind of like I'm trying to attack my finances right now. So
right,
making like around 35 to 40, depending on, because I do personal training, so depending on how many clients I would get. But somewhere in between 35 and 40, and then for payments on the student loans, it'd probably be around $400 a month. So
$400 a month, and you say you're making about call it $35,000 to $40,000 a year from your job. Okay, and then and so if you only kind of made the minimum payments, I'm sure this is stretching out for 20 years or something like that. And so you said you think you're going to be making more money. Is that just because you're optimistic, or do you have a kind of a plan in place that you think you're going to be making more in the future?
Well, yeah. So I'd say 35 would probably be my minimum of what I'm making, and I just kind of like I said, it's kind of a job, so I got to build up.
And what's your monthly expenses other than the student loan, like a bare bones, if you could scale back and everything?
Okay, so I made a mistake and got a really nice car, so I have $600 going out.
Oh, man!
What did you get?
Man,
an Acura MDX SUV.
Holy cow! Are you single, Josh?
No, so that's the other part of my story.
Because a lot of times single people make that mistake.
This story is changing very quickly.
I think I was in a single mindset at that point.
I see. Holy cow, $600 a month.
Well, that is also with insurance included, but still it's $600. But
yeah,
I just finished grad school and I tried to justify it to reward myself. So
well,
so that's my major.
The reward usually hangs on the wall, a piece of paper. But in any case, all right. So $600. What about rent, food, and everything else?
Yeah, so I'm living with my girlfriend right now, and so probably sitting at about $1,500 a month. Outside of that.
Okay, that includes the 600.
Yeah.
Okay, includes the 600, but not the 400 for student loans. So basically, you're talking about, and that's and you're saying the 1,500. That's really bare bones. That's if you really do the minimum.
Yeah, with bills and all that stuff combined. So,
okay.
Like you said, food.
Okay, so you're trying to figure out what to do. So Tom, I mean, are you a fan of kind of loan consolidation programs? There's obviously a lot of scams out there. I mean, your thoughts?
The upfront costs are pretty high, and unfortunately, Josh, I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm looking at that variable loan that you have, and you can maybe focus on that, even though it's a little bit cheaper. I just think that with rates going higher, you want to go ahead and attack that. And then you hit me with that little curveball with that $600 a month car bill. I got to tell you, that really puts you back a lot. I mean, that $600 a month that would have been beautiful to go ahead and start that process. I was going to say, more than likely, you don't have a retirement plan option where you work, correct?
Not at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, and I got to tell you, even if you did, I would almost look at your retirement option of paying down these loans.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if you feel that same way.
I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah, this is a tough one. How about your girlfriend? Is she working?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you about her loans because she, mine not being too bad, $40,000. She went out of state tuition for her undergrad. And she accrued $160,000 of out-of-state tuition debt.
Yeah.
So she got a.
But she's making $200,000 a year in income, right?
She did it 70. So.
Okay. All right.
So she's doing well. She's just got a new job with a nice company with a lot of ceilings, so she has room to grow. And they start her out at 7.
But for all practical purposes, you both are essentially single. You're not working with a joint budget here. It's not like you can use her income to help pay for loans and vice versa. Is that right?
Or she helps with the rent.
She has helped out based on my income versus her income. And,
okay.
And so, we're getting close to, we've been together for a while now, so it's kind of getting close to, that time. So
what time might that be?
Yeah, I know. Just the fact that you can't even say the word marriage.
that time.
I'm guessing, when you call back in 2 years, we might be talking about,
I'm talking about getting another car.
I see. All right, Josh. So let's talk about you first. I mean, so Tom, I mean, in terms of this car, I mean, obviously, cars lose values. Used cars, and you're not gonna get a lot for it. But I'm almost tempted to say if he could try to sell this car, get something, cheap, that might be if he could actually get enough to pay off kind of the balance.
Josh, when did you buy it?
In February.
Oh, you just bought it.
Yeah. So maybe they can.
What am I talking about? Okay, almost a year old, 20% at least, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do something about. Is it in good shape? I mean, Yeah,
I mean, it runs great.
Yeah. Well, I would hope so. I would hope so. So I tell you what, let's. All right. I mean, I the potential problem with trying to sell off the car now is that you may not actually be able to pay off the loan, depending on how much it's depreciated. And I mean, it's something to kind of check into. But in terms of loan consolidation, I mean, there are tons of different groups out there, and a lot of them call themselves nonprofits. It's actually a scam. Most of them are not nonprofits. I mean, there are a couple out there that actually probably are, but it's a big known kind of scam. As Tom also pointed out, there's a lot of upfront fees, and typically, if they can get your monthly payment down, it's often by just stretching out the loan, and it's after lots of fees and so forth. Given that you're freshly out of school, they're not going to even be able to get the monthly fees down that much. I mean, think about it. If the government's not willing to take, if they're going to have to charge you 60% for the risk that they're taking on you, a private provider is going to charge even more than that. And so there's not kind of a free lunch there. If you owned a home and had some equity, that's potentially, I don't like doing it because that puts your house in kind of the whole mix of credit risk. But nonetheless, that's often the case. But that's not often a potential option. That's not really an issue here. I mean, Tom, as far as Josh goes, I mean, another thing, if you went into a nonprofit, some schools and even government programs have loan forgiveness programs, things like that. Something to consider
as far as employment goes.
As far as employment goes, yeah. I mean, so if you worked at the VA hospital, for example, helping physical therapy there, something like that, that may qualify you for kind of loan forgiveness. But other than that, it's about tightening the belt. I mean, it's really just trying to, and I agree with Tom here. I mean, it's not often I don't recommend focusing on retirement, but this is one of the cases where it really is. You're very liquidity constrained, and I would just try to figure out, I mean, maybe that car becomes your apartment. No, I'm just kidding. But, really just trying to figure out how to keep expenses very, very low and to pay off those loans and try to pay them off as quickly as possible. Other than that, I don't think there's a lot of options.
Maybe you look at the rent or but not too many options, unfortunately.
That's right.
Josh.
Or, you have the nicest Uber car on the block or something like that. So you mentioned your girlfriend. Quickly about her, what's going on?
Yeah, so she has good credit. She pays everything on time, and she was looking into SoFi. I don't know if you guys have heard of SoFi or would recommend that, but I believe they do that based on your credit. And I believe she would qualify for that. I didn't know if you guys would recommend that.
Does she have private and public too, or?
Yeah, hers are mostly private though.
Okay, so then she's probably floating too. She has a variable rate.
I believe she does. So yeah, this is the thing hanging over her head here. So trying to.
Does she contribute to retirement?
Yeah, she has. She does. She has a 401k and she has a retirement set up.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, SoFi, it's not a government organization. It's a private group. I don't actually know a lot about them, to be honest with you. I would just always, keep in mind that, you just want to, go into every, dealing with a private group, just really understand their incentives. And in particular, if they have to, they essentially have to charge you kind of a risk adjusted, they're taking some risk on you. And so they're going to have to charge you an interest rate for that. And there's usually something under the hood there, whether it's upfront costs or just simply stretching out the years of payments that are made. And really the goal here, I think, is quite simple, is to try to get these loans paid off as quickly as possible. And really the best thing that you can do is just figure out how to be very miserly in your spending over the next couple of years. And just understand this is a time for really tightening the belt. It also gives you a great excuse, Josh, in particular, that ring that you have to buy. It's okay to go a quarter carat, I mean, you're poor.
I got something set up for that. So
all right, aluminum foil.
A little ring pop type.
Yeah.
Just remember, love is bliss.
There you go. But thanks so much for calling, Josh. Again, good luck with that. Love having students, former students call in, talk about their debt and really trying to pay things off. And so thanks so much for calling. And I'm speaking with Tom Meyer, who's the CEO of Meyer Capital Group, and he's in studio. If you have a question about your finances, just give me a call here. I'd love to talk to you live on Tuesday. So give me a call here at 1-844-WHARTON. That's 1-844-942-7866. And so, Tom, let's try this. Get in a couple questions here, and I'll go back to the phone lines in just a minute or two here. During the break here, where we're talking about kind of this the fiduciary standard, the DOL kind of ruling. You and I are a bit frustrated about that. Just kind of give us the background and explain what the issue is.
Well, the background is that obviously this is a rule that I've been pounding the table on that should be, in my opinion, everyone should be a fiduciary, whether they're selling bonds or funds or annuities, whatever the case may be. But the Department of Labor actually took the first step, and they have been, working on this for years and years, and they finally came out with the rule that only is regarding qualified plans.
Yeah.
Rollovers, IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, et cetera, et cetera. So meaning that whoever deals with the investment part of those plans, they have to be a fiduciary. Mm-hmm. Therefore, they have to basically do what's right by the client 100% of the time and not sell proprietary product. If fees are exorbitant or what have you, fees higher than what they're paying in a 401k, then they have to sign what is known as a BICE, which is a best interest contract exemption, which means basically a bunch of mumbo jumbo and paperwork that no one ever reads it. And we kind of now, it seems like we're sliding back to where we once came. Yeah. And the latest ruling that came out that states that where it comes regarding annuities and what have you, that the broker is not required to go ahead and tell the client that there are better deals out there because it's a proprietary product. To me, that's what a fiduciary is all about.
Yeah, and I think that's the real kind of issue here, and that's the thing that I get really, really, really frustrated about. It's one thing to have broker dealers, and if you're working with a broker dealer who's commission based and you're willing to do that, I don't like it. I would actually like everybody to be non-commission based like they have in the United Kingdom and Australia, and likely now in Germany's moving in that direction. I think information is very much one of those things that economic theory doesn't get right. Markets don't work always well with information. But the issue here is that fiduciary used to be this term that meant you're dealing with a good guy. Yeah. It meant that person had to have your interest. That's almost the definition.
Held to a higher standard is what it comes down to.
I mean, almost the definition of a fiduciary is that I have your best interest in mind, not my own interest. Right. And now this is basically changing that definition. It's saying I can still have my interest as a broker, and I call myself a fiduciary and sell you stuff that is loaded with commissions that enrich me that's not really best for you.
Right, and I always called it the don't ask, don't tell rule, suitability versus fiduciary, and that is the fact that you go in and I tell you, I can't tell you how many times that potential clients would come in and say, I didn't pay anything for this fund, or I didn't pay anything for this bond.
Oh, man.
I'm thinking, really? I mean, you didn't come in on free bond day, or free mutual fund day. And the fact is, be transparent, everyone deserves to make a living, but just tell the truth for God's sake. There's no free lunch out there.
Yeah, everybody should be able to make a living. Just do it honestly.
Exactly.
And you can speak with Tom Meyer, CEO of Meyer Capital Group, fee-only firm, like all firms in this and on the show. In this case, based in New Jersey. Again, give me a call. Love to answer your questions here at 1-844-WHARTON. That's 1-844-942-7866. Promise to go back to the phone lines. Do that right now with Ben calling from Tennessee. How can I help you, Ben?
Hey guys, it's a pleasure to be on here. Me and my wife are just starting to get our lives together. We've been in the career path for about 4 years now, and we're looking to buy our first home. We've been renting all the way up to this point.
Good.
But I wanted to just ask about really, how much of a loan do I need to take out, and where I'm currently situated at, and what debts I have out there. So I just wanted to run a few scenarios by you, having this be so new and
Sure.
a big purchase. We've been very cautious in getting in any debt of any sort.
Yeah, so Ben,
But,
tell me about your debt situation so far, like credit card debt, student debt, anything there going on?
Yeah, so the only debts that we've paid off our student debts.
Good.
They're all,
Good job.
all done. We've got bachelor's degrees in biology, and then one in a master's in education, which is great.
Yeah.
But we do have one car payment that's I think we're owed about $20,000 on that payment.
And do you know what the interest rate is on that?
Yeah, it is 1.96.
Okay, and that's fixed, I assume.
Yeah, that is
okay.
fixed.
And anything else in the debt category?
No.
Oh, that's
nothing
great. And
debt
what
in
about your
that
household income? How much money you guys pull it in every month after taxes?
So every month after taxes, we're pulling in right at $10,000 a month.
10,000, good. And what's your kind of expenses, including your current? Well, let's exclude your current rent. If you didn't have your current rent, how much would you have in expenses?
And expenses, that would typically be around $1,500 between food and gas and any kind of.
And then when you added rent to that, how much is rent?
Current rent that we've been having, we moved in with our parents as we're kind of just starting.
Oh,
to
good.
find,
I love that.
Yeah, so it's great.
Yeah.
But what we were currently paying was $1,500
Yeah.
a month
Sure.
for rent, which was fine. It was okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But once you get utilities in there, you'd probably
Sure.
be more around $1,800.
And what's your motivation for buying a house? Get away from the parents, or have kids, or what's the motivation?
Kind of
Both.
there. The parents are great. Nothing against them.
Of
They've been
course,
great to us,
they're
but,
listening. Yeah.
But to purchase a house, I guess mainly to set a foundation.
Sure.
Start looking at having kids.
And are you planning on
and-
sticking in that area for a while? Do you have to be kind of flexible to move? I mean, what? Tell me more there.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I work in the boat industry. I manufacture boats.
Okay.
And there's believe it or not, Knoxville, Tennessee is a breadbasket of boat manufacturers.
Sure.
So I've
river
had a
boats,
new career,
battleships, lots of boats. No, I'm only teasing you,
yeah.
bad, but I did not know that. So, that's great. So we got just a couple minutes left in this segment at time. I want to address this. What do you think about a kind of a down payment? Do you try to get the 20% down payment to avoid PMI, something like that?
I mean, I got to get back to the $1,500 a month.
Yeah.
Does that include like vacations and living and? I mean, is that bare to the bones?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. So $1,500. I'm sorry, is what I meant to say. A month of just expenses.
Expenses that don't include rent. You're spending $1,500 a month.
Yes.
Wow.
Right.
You're taking the parents out to dinner every
Yeah.
night, something like that. I mean, that's a lot of money just
You're
in kind
enjoying
of,
yourself.
Yeah, that's a lot of money in other
Yeah.
stuff. And the type of house that you
okay.
were thinking about buying, I mean, how much? What's the cost of a house? Is it a couple $100,000 in Tennessee? What is it?
Yeah, typically you're gonna find a house, something that would be interested somewhere around 300,000.
300,000. Okay, so let's kind of use that.
Taxes.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Taxes down in Tennessee? Not bad, right?
Yeah.
Not like up here.
No, not bad, and it varies.
Good. Make me feel sick. Go ahead. Tell me how much you're going to pay in real estate taxes.
Oh gosh, I haven't even done the math.
Okay.
Yet.
All right.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's a lot cheaper than what we're paying up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee it.
It has to be. You only have to go north of New York to pay more. So, normally we try to get. How much have you saved up so far for the house, Ben?
So far we've saved up $45,000.
45. All right. So
Great.
good.
Great.
So, when you think about trying to get 20% down, roughly 60 grand plus closing costs, things like that.
Yeah,
depending where that goes.
Here's the issue, though. You can't use all your savings.
Yeah.
A house is a money pit. I mean, just look at your parents or, look at if something always goes wrong. You might need a roof, a hot water heater. There's always something that's going to go wrong. You can't use all of your savings for a down payment.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely true. So, Ben, hold on. We're going to have to take a quick break. We'll keep you on the line. We'll come back and just give you, now that we get all your facts, give you some advice about your own financial needs. You're listening to Your Money. I'm Kent Smithers, Business Radio, Sirius XM 111. And give us a call. Love to talk about your own finances. Here with me in this segment is Tom Meyer. And again, it's 1-844-WHARTON. That's 1-844-942-7866. Back to the phone lines in just a minute.
You're listening to Your Money on Business Radio, powered by the Wharton School. Here again is Professor Kent Smithers.
Hello and welcome back. You're listening to Your Money. I'm Kent Smithers, a professor here at the Wharton Business School. Here talking to you on Business Radio, Sirius XM 111. We're going into our second hour of the show, Your Money. As a reminder, we are live every Tuesdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to know if you can afford something in particular, maybe something that you want to buy, and we have Ben on the phone talking about a potential house, or you have a question about your investments, or just wondering if you saved enough for your kids' college or your retirement, really anything about your finances, just give me a call. We'll talk about it. Here with me in this segment is Tom Meyer, the CEO of Meyer Capital Group, doing a great job answering your questions. Give me a call here at 1-844-WHARTON. That's 1-844-942-7866. And we had Ben on the line talking about his own situation. He and his wife currently living with parents, making about $10,000 a month, and trying to figure out some options for buying a house, and $45,000 saved so far toward the house. And one of the things that Tom and I kind of were starting to focus on is the $1,500 of expenditures per month that's independent of kind of rent. So, Tom, let's kind of put it together for Ben so he can get on with his life and so forth. What do we think is the roadmap for Ben?
I think you have to be prepared to look at, this is your first time home. Mm-hmm. Now, on average, first-time homeowners stay in their house for 5 to 7 years. And I think maybe you want to bring your expectations down a little bit, but you have to understand the home is always a money pit. Trust me, been there, done that. I never believed it, but it's very true. And that $45,000 in savings, you just can't put every dime into that house. And then, your hot water heater is going to blow up, your roof, you're going to need a new roof. There's always something. And, then you got to furnish it. What happened in 2006, what happened in 2005 and 2007, where people were buying McMansions, putting everything down or no money down, breathing on a mirror to get a loan, and then they had patio furniture as their living room furniture. So you do not want to get into that scenario.
Yeah. So how we break this down, Ben, as first that $45,000 that you've saved so far, really think about $20,000, essentially 6 months of your expenses at $3,000, estimating that of what a mortgage as well as other expenses and so forth. view that $20,000 as simply your safety money. You're not going to be using that for kind of a house. It's really just if things kind of go south, whether it's the water heater or you lose a job, things like that. And if you said you're in the boat industry, I don't know how cyclical that is, but if that's even more risky than other occupations, then you might even think about 9 months worth of expenses. So put at least $20,000 off to the side. And then what I would say is what you're trying to gun for is $60,000 down payment. And the reason why that's really good, if you can get at least a 20% down payment, is that's actually going to save you a couple $100 a month in kind of useless payments called PMI. And you can typically waive PMI if you have 20% down. PMI doesn't contribute toward building equity or anything like that. And so we kind of want to avoid that. And so what basically that's saying is that taking that $20,000 off the table, you have about $25,000 maybe toward a house, and then you're going to want to get another $35,000 just for the kind of down payment, and call it maybe another $5,000 for depending on closing costs, things like that, where that comes in, and then as Tom points out, maybe another 10 grand at least for things like furniture and so forth. And so you're looking at probably about around another $50,000 that you want to be saving. And so what I would recommend is first of all, you have $10,000 in cash flow. Maybe think about spending another year with your parents. Really, that $1,500 that you're spending per month right now, figuring out how to scale that back. Maybe my guess is that you could probably cut that in half and still do pretty well. And then the rest of the money, I think it'll take about another year or so. Meanwhile, go out and start, looking at houses and so forth. Get a sense of what you like. But I would really try to go for another year with your parents and save that extra $50,000. Is that helpful, Ben?
Yeah, that's helpful, guys. I really appreciate your time and your feedback there.
Thanks so much for calling, Ben. Really appreciate it. And again, speaking with Tom Meyer, CEO of Meyer Capital Group, taking your calls about your own financial needs. So if you have a question and you want to give us a call here, we'd love to talk to you here at 1-844-WHARTON. That's 1-844 942-7866. And let me go to Christine calling from Texas. How can we help you, Christine?
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I am graduating from grad school in a few months. I'm going to be starting a good job.
Good.
And I have no idea where to start with planning for retirement.
Yeah.
I need help.
Yeah. Well, we'd love it when you call in at this point in your life, because it'd be a little bit more nervous. You said, I'm about to retire, and I have no idea what to do for planning for retirement. I haven't saved anything, so this is the right time to call. So tell me a little bit more about your finishing graduate school. What type of degree you're getting? How much money you're expecting to get for your first job, so forth.
Yeah, so I'm getting my MBA, and my first, I'll be starting at $100,000.
Okay, good. And what type of company are you starting with? You don't have to say the name, but industries, things like that.
A very large telecommunications company.
Okay, so presumably
very
large.
Very, very large.
Oh, very, very large.
Communication company. We won't mention names.
Right.
It's but nonetheless, I'm sure this particular company offers something like a 401k, stuff like that. But let's talk about things like student loans. How much in student loans you got?
I don't have any.
Whoa!
I don't have any debt.
Ring the bell.
How did that
Fantastic.
happen? Yeah. How did you get an MBA without student loans?
My parents have been amazing. I got a scholarship, so with the combination of those two,
you got the
I've
parent.
been able to finish up.
You got the favorite kids scholarship plus school scholarship.
And what's the ratio? 19% of kids come out of school with no debt. 19%.
Yeah.
That's it.
I actually think some debt's not a bad idea. I mean, I think it's good to have some skin in the game there. But fantastic. All right. And so, anything else that expenses are unusual? Anything else that we kind of have to be aware of? Are you single? Do you need a house or anything else?
So my boyfriend has a house, and I'll be living with him. So I'll be helping with the mortgage.
Okay.
But I mean, my expenses, my monthly expenses, including the mortgage, won't be more than $1,000 a month.
Okay.
Wow.
So you definitely have a lot of capacity here. And my guess here is that, you're starting off at $100,000, but your income is probably going to go up in the future. Have you set up things like IRA, Roth IRA, things like that?
So when I was 19, I set up a 401k, and when I left my job, I rolled it over to an IRA. It's a small IRA, a Roth with about $5,600 in it.
Yeah. And by the way, this gets down to a murky area of creditor protection, stuff like that. I would just let that Roth sit. I wouldn't add money to that particular Roth. Just let that one sit. You can always open up a separate Roth to go forward. Okay, so Tom, those are kind of the basic facts. She's really in saver mode. Almost certainly has access to a 401k. And so your thoughts?
Yeah, she's Christine. Great job. Your accumulation mode, saver mode. You want to just sock away as much as you possibly can. You max out your retirement.
Probably gets free phone calls.
Yeah, from that very, very large communication company or telecom company. But I'm sure that this large telecom company has a great 401k. And the match, mind you, I mean, you would want to definitely max that out. As Ken said, on top of that, you can throw yourself into, with the amount of money that you're making, you could go into another retirement plan, a Roth, or another IRA that you can do on your own. Just take advantage of something money can't buy, and that's your age. Yeah. And you are just you're coming out of the starting blocks like 5 lengths ahead of everyone else.
Yeah. So what I would be doing, Christine, is again, it's fantastic that you're kind of in this mode. I mean, you can be putting $18,000 a year. That contribution limit, which was true for 2016, is remaining for 2017. So you can do $18,000 a year. And what's really important, Christine, inside your 401k, what's really important here is that a lot of times people confuse their maximum contribution with the percent that they have to contribute in order to get the employer match. So, for example, I wouldn't be surprised if this company gives you, say, a 6% match, something like that. If your first 6% of your contributions, they'll match 50% or 100%. And a lot of times people think, well, okay, I'm maxing out my 401k. You actually don't max out your contributions until you hit that $18,000 level. Or if you're above age 50, you can do another $6,000 on top of that to go to $24,000. So on top of that, you could open up something like a Roth IRA, put up another $5,500 in that. One reason why for doing that is to, my guess is that you don't have a lot of assets so far. Chances are your income's going up in the future, and chances are, given that you're early saver, you're going to be aggressive, you're going to probably be in a pretty decent tax bracket even when you start withdrawing money, 40 years from now. And so you might as well pay the taxes today. And so using the Roth IRA is kind of the way to do that. $100,000, I mean, it's definitely a no-brainer to use Roth if you're making $40,000. $100,000, you start to think about a traditional IRA, but nonetheless,
for the deduction,
for the deduction, something like that. But I actually think, given that you're probably on a strong income path going up, I would actually lean in the Roth. Even in this case. And those are really your two best options. Now you're going to find out, hey, I have even more money left over, and what do I do with that? And so here's now what you do is you open up a taxable brokerage account. So you go to a place like Vanguard or Schwab, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade. Basically, avoid the companies with famous actors associated with, but go with a Vanguard, a Schwab, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, something like that, Scott's Trade, and open up a taxable brokerage account. And what you want to do in that taxable brokerage account is you actually want to, given your age, given that you have this huge amount of human capital ahead of you that's more like a bond-like asset, you want to be putting most of that money in your taxable brokerage account. This is the money after the $18,000, after the $5,500 that we just talked about. You want to invest more of that in stocks, a fair amount of that money in stocks. And you want to buy something like the Vanguard Total Stock Market Fund. It doesn't have a lot of turnover. It's not going to produce a lot of capital gains every year. And if you don't like taking so much stock market risk, that's fine. Because where you're going to hold your bonds, you're going to hold more of your bonds in your 401k. And so suppose that given your age, you say, I'm comfortable with the 80% stocks, 20% bonds. Okay, hold that 20% of those bonds in your 401k, hold of your entire money, that 20%, hold all of that, all those bonds in your 401k, and only hold stocks in your taxable brokerage. And that's actually going to be extremely tax efficient. A lot of people don't realize you don't need to have a 401k, you don't need to have an IRA to be very tax efficient. What's great is if you have a taxable brokerage in addition to those things, because you can really minimize taxes by locating your assets in kind of the right areas. Does that make sense, Christine?
It does. And I have one last question.
Sure.
Am I able to open up a 529 because I'm eventually going to have children? So
Yeah.
Can I open one before I have kids?
Oh, yeah.
Boy, you are
to that?
totally looking into the future. But
This doesn't happen very much.
Yes, you can.
Really?
I'm sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, but I do
Yeah.
want to mention one thing,
Yeah.
Christine, because once you open up your 401k, you're going to have options.
Yeah.
And you're going to, my guess is with this large telecom company, you're going to have a lot of options.
Yeah, including
And
Roth, yeah.
if you're going to go to HR, they're going to give you the package, welcome, blah, blah, blah. So I have to tell you, there might be so many options that it might just make sense for you to beginning with, unless you're really into the stock market, to just go into the target date funds
Yeah.
and make life very easy.
Yeah, and I agree with that. In particular, sometimes, especially at this age, the simple target date fund is the way to go. How that works is that you'll find a fund that has your retirement date approximately up to 5 years. So maybe 2040 or 2045 or something like that is your retirement date. It'll actually be in the fund name, and what it does is that it conservatively or it rebalances you between stocks and bonds, kind of as you get older. So it takes on more bonds as you get older. If you have a bunch of money in your taxable brokerage account, what I like to do in that case is, again, hold that in stocks. That might mean you're taking on too much stock market risk relative to what a target date fund would suggest. So in that case, I might be a little bit more conservative with the target date fund and make sure it has a little bit more bonds in it. So if I'm going to retire in 2040, I might actually sign up for a 2035 or 2030, fund. And overall, I still have the right allocation between the two. Coming back to your question about 529, absolutely, you can open up a 529. What I love about 529 is what I hated by, and unfortunately, they keep staying alive, or these Coverdales, is that Coverdales, you could not do that because a Coverdale, which are still unfortunately alive, they're actually irrevocable trust that's actually owned by whoever you designate. So money that you put in there is actually their money, so your kids' money and so forth. The only reason you ever open up Coverdale is if you want to send your kid to like a private school, high school, something like that. It's really the only small advantages to it. It has so many income limits, I hate it. But the 529 is actually not owned by the beneficiary, it's owned by you. And so what happens if you decide someday, Christine, you're not going to have kids, or however the future works out for you, you can always assign that 529 to somebody else. First of all, you could actually use it for your own education in the future, but you could also assign it to somebody else, a nephew, someone that you like, or and use it for that purpose. As long as it's being used for qualified education expenses, which is pretty broadly interpreted for a 529 account, you can use it for that purpose. And so absolutely set up that 529, do it now. Texas is a great state to be potentially in, because you don't have a state income tax. And people in Texas, I actually recommend thinking about the Utah 529 plan. And the reason that seems counterintuitive, why would they use it from the other state? You don't have a state income tax to save money on anyway. So might as well use a plan that actually is a very simple one to use, has a good user interface. Utah kind of wins in that category.
And the cheapest.
And it's cheapest. Yeah, it's
PFA
very cheap.
and
yeah.
Vanguard.
That's right. So thanks. Is that helpful, Christine?
Yeah, that was incredibly helpful.
Great job, Christine.
Wow. More
more
valuable than their MBA.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
We don't usually get the 529 question like this unless you're trying to tell us something. I don't know.
That's right. Thanks so much for calling, Christine. Really appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back to with the next segment with Andrew Feldman. But I want to thank Tom. Fantastic job once again.
Always fun time. Great. Oh my God, these are great callers. They have amazing stories, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks again, Tom, for coming on the show. And again, you can find Tom by going to his website, which is Meyer, which is M as in Mary, EYERCG. It stands for Capital Group. Again, MeyerCG.com. And when we come back, I'll be going back to the phone lines and answering more of your questions about your own personal finances. So give me a call. Right now, 1-844-WHARTON. That's 1-844-942-7866. And I'll be back with Andrew Feldman right after this break.